So what is social connection? It's surprisingly difficult to define. Researchers in the field have called it, at its most basic, the subjective experience of feeling close to and a sense of belonging with others. Healthy social connection is about having the right level, quality and numbers of social connections to help you thrive. Having the right level can differ from person to person. Some people only need a few close connections to thrive. Others might need more. What's important is the quality of those connections and having a balance across a range of different layers of connection. Some benefits of having the right level of social connection include 50% increased chance of longevity, stronger immunity, lower rates of anxiety and depression, higher self-esteem and empathy, better emotion regulation skills. Social connection creates a positive feedback loop for social, emotional and physical well-being. Research shows that how connected we feel to others, positively or negatively, impacts our physical and psychological health and well-being. So how does social connection relate to social isolation and loneliness? Social isolation is an objective lack of contact between a person and others in society. Loneliness is a subjective feeling or a perception of being isolated from others. The Campaign to End Loneliness describes loneliness as a subjective, unwelcome feeling of lack or loss of companionship. It happens when there is a mismatch between the quantity and quality of the social relationships that we have and those that we want. This definition is helpful as it highlights that one can be surrounded by others, say as older people are in residential aged care, but still feel lonely, as it's about a mismatch between the quality or quantity desired. According to the World Health Organization, older people living in residential aged care are in the top risk bracket for experiencing social isolation. And a recent literature review found that globally, around 61% of older people living in care homes may be moderately lonely, and around 35% may be severely lonely. Our approach to addressing social isolation and loneliness is by focusing on social connection rather than social isolation. Doing so means that our approach is strength-based, so it's connection, not isolation. It focuses on people's existing social connection assets and builds up from there. It's evidence-based across a broad range of different disciplines, such as psychology, neuroscience, sociology, and urban planning, as we believe that knowledge from multiple different research areas is needed to fully understand social connection. It's practical. We wanted to translate the academic research into practical tools that people and organisations could use. It's holistic, because we believe that it takes more than the individual to fix it. It's about collective actions and our environment being conducive to enable people to connect. Importantly, it's action-oriented. Focusing on social connection rather than isolation says, hey, there are things that we can do together as a community, as a society, to facilitate social connection. Through over 7 years of research into social connection, we came up with a framework to translate evidence-based research into practical tools. It sees social connection as having 3 aspects: the individual level, the community level, and the process of how a person goes from joining a new group to feeling like they belong. The individual aspect of the framework is based on what you give your connections and what you receive from these connections, which shows humans have circles of connections that have different functions. People can't do social connection on their own. They need conducive environments. So we have the community social connection aspect on the right that outlines what are the foundations, such as safety, choice, access, and what spaces, places and design is optimal for connection to flourish, and what are the activities and people that best facilitate and activate connection in these spaces. The diagram in the middle is the socialisation process aspect of the framework. So this outlines how there is a process for a person first joining a group and then becoming comfortable and feeling like they belong. These social connection circles were adapted from Robin Dunbar's social brain work. Robin Dunbar is an anthropologist and evolutionary psychologist, and through his research of primates and ancient tribes to modern societies such as corporations like Facebook, established that there is a limit to the number of people that individuals can maintain relationships with, and that there was a pattern in the number of these connections. From this research, we devised the individual social connection framework The framework highlights that social connection tends to exist in layers or circles, including closest relationships are your inner circle. These are people that you have a strong bond with or care deeply for. Good friends, those you rely on for help of all kinds, and you help them too. These are your social allies. My communities are the communities that make you who you are. They might form around different parts of your life that you identify with, like work, hobbies, religious groups, online communities, or sports. These are the people you share some interests with. Wider community are people around in your day-to-day life. You might recognise them to say hello. They make you feel like you belong in society. This could be a local cafe or shop owner, friends of friends, or the familiar face you recognise in your exercise class. So thinking about social connection in terms of these circles or layers can be helpful when trying to identify strengths and gaps in a person's social connections, as a balance across these different layers or circles is ideal for a person's overall well-being.